America, we stand for freedom. Though freedom is never really free, we yearn and strive for government protecting our liberty.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Your Right to Know, brought to you by the Fitchburg Republican City Committee. Tonight, I will be your host. My name is Attorney Andrew Couture, and we are going to be talking about the Russian collusion and the Mueller investigation. And for our guest today, we have Attorney Christopher Walton. How are you doing today, Chris?
Great, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And we definitely have a lot to talk about in our half hour. So we have the Mueller investigation. There has been rumors that it's about to wrap up. There's been, 36 indictments?
And pleas, 36 indictments and pleas.
And so what's the estimate of this, that this investigation has cost the American public?
With direct and indirect costs, I saw about 26 million, 27 million right now.
That's a big chunk of the wall that they could give to President Trump. Yeah. But so why don't you start off by just kind of giving us an overview of exactly what has been going on with the Mueller investigation?
Well, you saw what happened early on when Bill Sessions had to, or Senator Sessions had to withdraw, recuse himself, and that opened the door for the appointment of the special counsel. I know Mueller's taken a lot of hits from President Trump and everything, but it makes you wonder if he really knew the rat's nest he was walking into. And soon, a few months later, you saw Strzok and Page, that controversy come out, and I forget how long it took, but they were all shown the door. So it's almost like Mueller had to do a little in-house cleaning and say, yeah, this isn't going to work. I know he's taken a lot of hits for that. Some of the concerns I've seen over the, let's see where it takes us, but it seems like every indictment that's come out has been a Republican. I mean, early on we heard, the DNC was hacked by Russian.
That's correct, yes.
And they didn't report it.
They didn't report anything about that.
And they wouldn't allow searches of it, so you would think that would be a direction he might look at regarding Russian interference in the elections, and perhaps some of the liability with the DNC for not coming forth and sharing the information, kind of like an obstruction of justice issue going on there, right?
Right. Now, speaking about obstruction of justice, Michael Cohen. Okay, let's talk about that. I mean, he was Trump's attorney, is that correct?
Correct.
And so,
personal attorney.
What happened with Michael Cohen?
Frankly, as a defense attorney and a practicing attorney, any attorney, I was outraged when I heard they executed search warrant and just started yanking client files out of his office.
Yep, because I mean, when I first heard that, I had the same reaction, that it's like they're just yanking just random clients' files out of this attorney's office and going through it. I mean, how can they do that?
It's DOJ unleashed with a special prosecutor at the helm, and that's the danger
now
you happen when you have that kind of power.
Can
unleashed.
Trump fire Mueller?
Can.
Why doesn't he?
Because he doesn't want to have the interference and propriety. I think President Trump has been pretty clear, doesn't know what all this is about. I mean, you look at some of the people who were around him, Manafort.
Yep.
Most of the charges against him and the plea deal with when he was working as a Ukrainian consultant, and nothing came out of that. It has nothing to do whatsoever with the Trump administration or his election, his campaign.
Now, wasn't he the one that was allegedly in Prague, and he just recently came out saying, "I heard Prague is very nice in the summertime, but I've never been there."
Absolutely.
Aren't there records? I mean, you need a passport in order to go over there. Is this just not false information?
A lot of that's coming from the press, though.
Okay, and so you think that this is press-driven?
A lot of it is.
Okay.
And a lot of it's, people working on the DNC and, Hillary Clinton sympathizers who are on staff in D.C. leaking to the press. I mean, everybody knows about all the press leaks that have been going on.
So who...
uncorroborated stuff, just painting a bad picture of the whole Trump administration.
So just to give our viewers an idea, I mean, we've talked about 36 pleas and indictments. What were the indictments? I mean, what were some of the major ones?
George Papadopoulos, wasn't he the one that was unmasked first?
Yes. Yeah.
I have questions about the warrants used for that and the unmasking.
And what questions would you have in regards to that? I mean,
well,
being an attorney, I don't ask a question I don't already know the answer to, so you got to bear with me.
As a criminal defense lawyer, the first thing I would have been doing is filing motions to suppress and exclude the evidence.
Well, yeah, that would be the first thing I would do as well.
But it's very difficult because of the nature of what the source of the information. They can claim national security. Mm-hmm. And that will take years to get out. Right. And that's what they're up against. I mean, George Papadopoulos found out he had nothing to do with Russian collusion. Told a fib to the FBI, lying. I mean, Martha Stewart got some time for that. He got 14 days.
Right, right. Martha Stewart got significantly longer, but
there was a lot of money involved.
There was a lot of money involved. Now, you also have, I mean, we've discussed Paul Manafort. So what has Paul Manafort done? I mean, what are the allegations against him?
I think it was a lot of tax issues, wasn't it, from funding?
Something completely unrelated to the presidency.
Totally unrelated.
Completely unrelated to Trump. Basically, this has just been a
fishing expedition.
That's exactly what it is. Just a fishing expedition that isn't discovery. I mean, there's a case law right on point that states that discovery cannot be a fishing expedition.
Absolutely.
And is it not true that that's exactly what the feds have been doing? Just been bringing stuff up, stuff unrelated to Trump?
Seems that way.
And so,
if he didn't have his Twitter feed, we wouldn't know about it because you don't see it anywhere else.
Right, you don't see it on the news. You don't see any of this information coming out. It's been pretty hush hush, unless it's been with the unless it's been bad that's been leaked to the press. Mm-hmm. But what has been bad? Because none of these point to Trump.
Nothing so far that we know about.
So what do you think? What do you think Mueller actually has on Trump?
I think you have the prop to tell us the answer to that.
I will, and that'll come up at the end of the show. I will definitely say that. So what happened with Michael Flynn? Now he stated false statements. Is that what the charges were?
I think that's what he pled to, but then it was a McCabe's, and his people said, well, we don't think he actually lied.
Okay. Well, yes, that's true.
But he entered a plea agreement.
But why would he enter a plea agreement if...
from everything I've heard is, and being an attorney, how costly this can get.
Well, when you're dealing with the feds, yes.
And they were going to bankrupt him.
And that was their intention, was just to bankrupt him, to say, you better plead to something or else that. Okay.
I mean, he was an honorable man. You look at his history. I'm former military. You look at a guy like that, and that's the person you want to mentor yourself at,
Right. So
and what they've done to him, I think, is a disgrace.
So how much longer is this going to go on for?
I guess until he decides he's done, which is outrageous.
So, I mean, this could go on this has already been going on for 2 years. I mean, the investigation started at the infancy of Trump's presidency, in order to be able to try to get him, out of the presidency. And it's been going on for 2 years. Is it gonna last the entire 4 years of the Trump presidency? Or are the speculations, let's just say that there are speculations that Mueller is coming to a close?
I mean, there's probably good basis for that. The election, the midterms are over.
They won back the House.
Yeah.
And so...
Unless there's a lot of secret indictments out there, you don't even see a lot being leaked to the press anymore. So I would suggest it's probably wrapping up now.
So these secret indictments, I mean, when would it become public?
Maybe not for another year or two. Who knows what they're up to?
So that might be the the October surprise coming in 2020, if that's what I'm
I think he would
suggesting.
take a lot of heat, but that could possibly happen.
Okay. So where do you think that this is going to go with President Trump?
Based on what I've seen, I mean, we probably don't know a lot of what's out there. I don't think they have anything on the president.
So why do they keep this going on?
Because they want to win back the power. Pretty straightforward. I mean, and you have the establishment Republicans who not particularly fond of his style. I mean, at first I had issues with his style, but you know what? The press just keep killing him, and that's the only way he gets his message out.
Through his Twitter feed.
It is.
And
But for that, we wouldn't hear a lot what's really going on, or at least his side, and usually somewhere in the middle is the truth.
But do you think Trump is getting into trouble using his Twitter?
Politically, maybe.
Do you think
Criminally, or no.
Okay. Do you think that his Twitter feed is going to end up coming back at him in the 2020 election?
Well, anything you do when you're a politician can come back.
But you got to admit, Trump is a rare character, and you know they might have things on him, which they go, "Ha, we got him," but he flips it right around, turns it right around on the media, and.
But you remember he already went through that once. If they had anything, it would have been used by Hillary Clinton.
Oh, absolutely. But do you think we're going to expect a Hillary Clinton run in the 2020? I mean, Elizabeth Warren has already come out saying that she's going to run, which is comical. But she's already had an exploratory committee started, and there's been rumors that Hillary's going to throw her hat back into the ring. I mean,
This is going off the Mueller track, but
right.
This is going to be.
We'll bring it back to the Mueller track.
This is going to be the presidential primary last go around on the Republican side, and the Democrats are putting up an amazing cast of characters in this one.
Characters is a very unique.
Warren.
Yeah. So getting back to the Mueller investigation, are you going to see, or do you think that we're going to see anything in the Mueller investigation in the election, the 2020 election? I mean, if Mueller comes out and says, you know what, I was wrong, you know, I don't have anything against Trump, obviously not. But do you think they're going to gin something up?
I think not, because I think it would have hit pretty soon afterwards, the elections, and there's still, I mean, they say he's going to close it out soon. If it's going to happen, it will happen this year.
So when you say it's going to close out, what would an investigation like this, how would they close out the investigation? Just say, it's done, here's the evidence, and these are the indictments.
Yeah.
So there would be no pomp and circumstance if there's nothing there.
The Attorney General would close it out.
Okay. So, the Attorney General being, so Mueller wouldn't close it out. It would be the Attorney General.
I think Mueller would give a report to the Attorney General. I think that's the way it would work, and then say he's pretty much finished with his investigation.
Now, you know, do you see any correlation between this investigation and the Clinton investigation back in the 90s?
I mean, looking back at what I know, I would say this is far more outrageous. And, you know, puts Watergate, it makes it look like a molehill. I mean, you look at what we don't know. Trying to think back with what we don't know, what's been going on the Democrat side. It just amazes me still that, you know, 36 indictments, all Republican related, nothing on the other side. It was supposed to be, the focus was Russian collusion or interference. I don't think it was just collusion. It was supposed to be interference, and we haven't seen anything come out on the other side. I mean, you look at where the money went on the Clinton Foundation. You always follow the money.
So
uranium deal.
The Clinton uranium deal,
and how much money the foundation got right after that deal was closed. And it boggles the mind. I think her campaign manager is Podesta.
Yes, it was John Podesta.
I think he had a company that got money out of that deal as well.
Well, wasn't he also partners with Cohen at some point as well?
No,
not Cohen.
Manafort.
Manafort.
No, it was his brother was a partner with Manafort.
Okay.
And we haven't seen anything come out on that. I think he had some of the same issues regarding proper registration for doing, foreign consulting and with his government contacts and so forth.
Okay. So what is the Paul Manafort? What is his punishment? I mean, you said what, 14? Did he?
No. Manafort's looking at some serious time. He hasn't been sentenced.
So okay, what?
I mean, the tax.
As a defense attorney, what do you think Manafort is looking at?
I saw the possibility. It's some significant time, though, for the tax issues.
Okay.
But nothing dealing with collusion.
So nothing dealing with the Russian probe.
No.
Nothing dealing with collusion. Nothing involving with Trump.
All financing and tax issues.
And that's the only thing that they have on him. So, what are some of the other indictments that were discussed?
Cohen, you have Cohen. It was the taxi medallions and some bank fraud, and I think some more tax issues.
Okay. And Papadopoulos, what was it that he pled to?
He didn't. He pled to, lying to the FBI.
Okay. And what kind of criminal liability does that take?
I want to say, a few years, but he got 14 days. So it must have been a little white lie. Who knows what it was about?
And so what do you think that we're going to be able to see going forward into this? I mean, really, do you see any more indictments, honestly?
Only if some of the campaign staff were doing something they weren't supposed to do.
Now, what is there's been some talk about Jared Kushner being involved in this. What have you seen Jared Kushner being involved in?
It's tough, he's a family member. I'm sure he's very close to the president. I think there's some issues with his Israeli ties and some financing that went on with some banks. But is that really Russian collusion and so forth?
No.
Once again, it's going to be outside of what should be the focus of the investigation.
Now, what about this? In the beginning, there were allegations that Kushner met with a Russian.
Oh yeah, the meeting.
The meeting. Let's discuss that.
Nothing illegal about it.
So basically, he was just trying to. I mean, somebody came up to him from Russia saying, "Hey, I got some dirt on Hillary. Do you guys want to listen in and hear me out?" All right. Now, obviously, at first he didn't say that. It was a business deal. Is that correct?
I don't recall. I thought he did say that it was to see whether they had any information on Hillary Clinton.
Now, would that be Russian collusion? He's getting it from a Russian national. I mean, he's not talking with Vladimir Putin, obviously, but is that legally Russian collusion?
No. It's opposition research.
That's what
the Steele dossier all was.
What would collusion entail? What are the elements of collusion?
I think it would be money coming in from Russian companies and foreigners, which is illegal, and taking those funds and using them for your own personal use or your campaign use, and then they get some sort of deal on the other end, dealing with government affairs.
Now,
like preferential treatment for government contracts or...
Oh, you mean kind of like the Uranium One Deal?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The same thing that Hillary Clinton did, when she was Attorney General, and she sold uranium to the Russians and got a nice kickback.
A very nice kickback.
But yet, media is silent on that, and they're still concentrating on this horse, you-know-what.
Okay.
Now, with that being said, why doesn't Trump go after Hillary?
I think he's waiting for this to close out, and then you may see it.
You think so?
I do.
Okay. And what do you think would be the start of that? Would it be Uranium One?
Well, I would suggest it would be. You always follow the money.
Right.
That's an investigator's creed, Follow the money. That's where it leads you to the evil doers.
So,
I mean, you talk about that's what they thought they were going to get out of the president, with the hotel in Moscow or something, and then
That
they
was
found
the-
out it was
yeah.
closed out way before even the campaign started.
Well, that was another area that I was going to go down. What happened with that? Because he was looking at building a Trump Tower in Moscow.
Who knows? The deal fell through and it ended.
Okay. And when was that deal done? Do you have any information?
I think it was
about
a
that?
few years before the campaign even started.
So back when he was, chasing Obama and calling Obama, all these accusations against him, he was dealing with over with the Russians, trying to build another Trump
he's
Tower,
a real estate developer trying to make a buck.
and nothing illegal with that.
No,
And in fact, it's good business practice.
good business.
And so what more do you think that we're going to see after this investigation closes? Do you think the American people are just, the
I've
politicians?
seen some of the poll numbers, and people want it to end. I mean, and I think what we have already mentioned, everybody sees it's been a witch hunt. Nothing come out on the other side, so all focus, and they see where the indictments are going, and there's nothing.
Well,
Nothing, there's tax issues and stuff, which, Manafort did the wrong thing,
yeah.
and he got caught.
And so all the other investigations, all the other 36 total issues, is it all tax stuff, or is it all lying to the FBI?
A lot of them, I think, were lying to the FBI.
Okay.
I mean, the 13 Russians, and then there was 3 Russian companies, were all like tech companies
Okay.
doing the Facebook stuff,
Yeah.
and that's illegal. But
Doesn't trace back to Trump.
no,
Okay. So, being Russian companies and being Russian, what kind of jurisdictional issues does the FBI have with Russian companies and Russian?
they can't get them if they don't want to give them up.
So basically, okay, these.
But they can restrict their ability to do any business.
So basically,
Banking.
freeze their assets in the
yeah.
United States.
Yeah.
But nothing that they can do to indict people.
No, those people are never leaving Russia now.
Okay. So, what was the point of all this? This is just a big waste of money in order to say Trump shouldn't be president. Is that what you're saying?
That's part of it. And what I really think was going was, we don't want to allow Trump to unleash on Hillary and the DNC
And once this investigation
and the Steele dossier.
once this investigation is completed, you think?
I
that's gonna
really think that. I think you'll have a lot of people covering their tracks. They've had 2 years now to do it.
Well, it was also said by Hillary, I think, if he becomes president, we're all going to swing. Isn't that something?
Something she said.
That's been quoted as Hillary Clinton saying?
I mean, right after, during the email controversy, I mean, how many immunity deals did they give people? And they got nothing out of it.
How many immunity deals did they?
I forget, but from the State Department, there was 3 or 4. That was dealing with the unmasking.
Right.
Uma Abedin and some of her people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
So, going after Hillary, but who else do you think Trump would go after as well after this investigation is completed? Do you think we could see something against Obama?
I doubt it. I mean, do you really think they'd go down that path? I don't.
It's a possibility. I mean, it depends on what he was involved in and what he knew. I mean, if he was involved in the Uranium One Deal and he knew about it, don't you think there could be some penalty?
Or if he knew about Bill Clinton and his attorney general meeting on the tarmac.
That's a great possibility as well. And I mean, I don't think Obama's out of the woods yet. That's why I think he is, he's the first president, former president, excuse me, to comment on his successor. You never saw that. You didn't see that with Reagan to Bush, or Bush to Clinton, Clinton to Bush Jr.
And that's why they're trying to take down President Trump.
Because just
to cover their own tracks.
So
I mean, you look at
Obama could
some
be,
of his
could be
stuff,
indicted,
yeah.
On something.
If it came out.
But as an attorney, does he have any protection that when he was president? If it was something that happened in
He
office,
has broad protection.
So what, like immunity? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, some executive, but if they found out like he knew about the Steele dossier and everything else with that, and was allowing, and he knew his staff, or the State Department staff were doing the unmasking with the FISA warrants, yeah, he'd have some issues there, I would suggest.
Well, so we're basically coming to the end of our show, and this has been a very interesting half-hour show. But you know what, Chris? I got a secret. Okay.
Okay.
I got all of the Mueller's, everything that he has against Trump.
What do you have? You have Hillary's server?
No, I do. I have it right here. Okay. This is containing all documents that Mueller has against Trump. You ready?
I'm ready. I think you're right.
There's nothing there. Let's face it.
I think you're right.
It's an absolute ridiculous waste of taxpayer money. And before we close out the show, I do want to, a very important of our local GOP community has recently passed. Lance May, he was a former
state
committee man, great supporter of this show as well as all of our Republican candidates. I would like to have him recognized for this show. He will be missed.
He will be missed.
And he was a great GOP supporter and a great man.
Yes.
And I do want to take some time out of this show to give him some recognition. He devoted his life to the GOP, and I just want to say he will be missed. But so as we're coming to the end of our show, we want to thank you for watching Your Right to Know and sitting in with the FRCC. As we leave you, we want you to remember that your local city and town committee is the only grassroots organization that supports and holds dear your liberty, your constitutional rights, and conservative values. We encourage you to join us. Why? Because to us, GOP stands for growth, opportunity, and prosperity, and because we always stand for freedom. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
America, we stand for freedom. So let us all unite to yearn and strive for our republic that reflects our values, that preserves our rights, and goes forth in power and might, that reflects our values and preserves our rights, and goes forth in power and